Hello again, dudes and dudettes, and welcome back yet again to I'm the Dude Games. So, forgive me if my voice cracks a little, just kind of recorded some background gameplay of some COD multiplayer so that way I could do my review, my thoughts and opinions on the new Modern Warfare as well as largely the Call of Duty franchise. Now, this is coming from someone, again, that does not play a lot of Call of Duty. I really don't, and I haven't played a lot of Call of Duty throughout the majority of my life. I've only played through all of the Modern Warfare campaigns and Infinite Warfare. I haven't played any of the Black Ops games, but I am familiar with pretty much all Call of Duty campaigns. I played through all of COD Classic, which was where it all started. When you had a health bar and had to pick up health packs and you were basically just fighting through World War II. I haven't finished playing any of the World War II campaign. I've only really started it. From what I've played of the World War II campaign, it's decent. It's different. It's very similar to COD Classic, where you do have to kind of watch your health bar, and it's different. I can tell they were trying to pretty much revamp COD Classic, but make it as realistic, boots on the ground, and as immersive as possible. They went from highly futuristic in space, first-person shooter, back to its roots, and I'm sure there are areas where they succeeded and areas where they could have done better. So I've been trying to rack my brain as to what it was about this new Modern Warfare, both multiplayer and single-player campaign alike, that really just captivated so many people and recaptivated me on pretty much the whole franchise, the whole aspect of the COD first-person shooter. Because even before Call of Duty, first-person shooter video games have been a staple in the gaming industry for decades now. And each one unique and different than the last. So, I'm trying to think. Because I know what this Call of Duty campaign did well as opposed to past Call of Duty games and past COD campaigns. Basically where COD started out, all the way up through Modern Warfare 3, essentially, I feel like Call of Duty did very well. The Black Ops games, I've watched walkthroughs on those whole campaigns, and I liked Black Ops 1 and 2. I liked the campaigns for them. I never played any of them. But so long, I think, as Call of Duty has stuck to more or less traditional, immersive, somewhat realistic, boots on the ground, and hasn't pushed any sort of like gimmicky celebrity cameos. So long as I guess the COD games weren't trying to really sell you on anything. It didn't seem like they were trying to sell you on anything. Because once Advanced Warfare was the thing, and everything like Black Ops 3 and 4 and Infinite Warfare and stuff like that started coming out, Call of Duty didn't feel like Call of Duty. It felt like they were just trying to push the envelope way too hard. It was almost like they were trying to push like a C or D-list movie with like B-list actors, B to A-list actors. That's essentially what it felt like they were trying to do. And it's like Infinity Ward and other people, I think. I mean, I don't really know the whole internal struggles between developers like Infinity Ward and Activision. I know that in the past, there are titles that Activision has done very well, but generally, when it's come to any sort of heavily multiplayer-based game, Activision has really kind of screwed over and done a lot of disservice to fans as far as game development and just internal aspects of games, especially, microtransactions. And they literally are just, in the past like 5 or so years, all they've really been doing is try to squeeze every last penny out of consumer pockets, because they, and it sucks because, I really did used to love Activision. I used to love playing games that were developed by them, but somewhere along the line over the past 5 to 10 years, Activision, somewhere along the way, just kind of lost what it used to be all about. And they started making a lot of decisions they started making a lot of game development decisions that, cutting things out largely, and not just with Call of Duty, but with like Bungie and Destiny and all that stuff, because Activision has been involved in a lot of projects, all of the projects that they seem to have been involved in the last 5 to 10 years. They've made a lot of unpopular decisions and a lot of decisions that have pissed off a lot of gamers and done a lot of disservice to gamers, because we are the fans of these things. We are the ones who play these. We are the ones who stream this content and put this out there for people to watch and try to make it entertaining in and of itself, based on, who we are and how we play. And so when it comes to this new Modern Warfare game, it returned to a very popular setting. The Modern Warfare, if you want to call, the Call of Duty Modern Warfare franchise, the series, it returned to a very popular series. The Modern Warfare series has more or less been very well received over the years by the gaming public. And I think, if I had to take a guess, I think it's largely due to the fact that, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Based on what we see in like actual warfare, because what you see depicted in movies and television shows, depending on what you're watching, sometimes the creators of those types of things really do try to go as in-depth as they possibly can to make whatever war show or war movie that they're making to be as realistic as possible, because real life actual warfare is no fucking joke. There are men and women overseas, not just from our country, but from others as well, laying down their lives so that way other people who seek to do us harm or do their country harm do not, I'm not going to get into the whole political aspect of the war on terror, but I'm not going to deny that regardless of whatever, started, sorry, trying to keep my thoughts clear and concise, but regardless of anybody else's actions, I'm not going to deny that there are extremist groups and extremist people out there that do seek to harm innocents. And that's not right. That is not right. And so there are men and women from various countries, including the U.S., laying down their lives to keep that kind of horrificness, away from the homeland. It's been going on since before 9/11. That's really it. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would have to say that, selling people first-person shooter video games based on anything remotely similar to actual real-life warfare is highly offensive. And I can understand why. Because there are, again, actual men and women from the US and other countries laying down their lives overseas in foreign countries to make sure that innocents are not killed by any sort of extremist or extremist groups. There are people that make the ultimate sacrifice every day to keep the kind of things depicted in video games like this away. So, the fact that there are people on a game development team that would make a game that depicts war and hellish violence in modern times for entertainment value, I know there are some in this world that would see that as, highly offensive and insulting, even because it's like, it's just a virtual world. It's not real, but at the same time, you're depicting the closest thing to real world war and violence and selling it as entertainment, as propaganda. So you guys see my point, how that could be highly insulting and offensive to someone who would be actually in the shit, in a sense. And when it comes to that aspect of it, I can't say I can't say I disagree with those people because, in a sense it is. But at the same token, I have to look at this from my own viewpoint. I've never been a soldier. I've never been of service. I don't disrespect, nor do I disagree with the people who do choose to be of service. I thank those men and women from the bottom of my heart. It sucks that you actually have to do that, in my opinion, because unfortunately, if there weren't extremists, if there weren't people that meant to do innocents harm in any country, then there would be no need for war. Regardless of who's starting what, regardless of who's creating it, there has been every possibility throughout history to, maintain peace and not have to wage war. But unfortunately, we don't live in that kind of a world. So, but from my own standpoint as a gamer, this was a well done video game. I think the developers at Infinity Ward and the people that develop these games have done their best to learn from the mistakes of past games that they've made. Especially with games like Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare. A lot of the things that gamers received poorly that they didn't like about those games, so they returned to a popular series in their franchise, and they developed a very hardcore, intense, violent, horrifically realistic war story, and they brought in original characters from the series. And they did very well on the character development with like Farah and Hadir and Price and Alex and Kyle Garrick, aka Gaz. The storyline for this game, for this campaign, was just done superbly well. And on the cutscenes were very cinematic. The action was very intense. And the way that they kind of designed the AI enemies for the campaign, this did not feel like a traditional Call of Duty campaign of the past where you're going in guns blazing. It didn't feel like a campaign that you could rush through, even on normal difficulty. Now, as far as like gameplay length, it had pretty much about the same amount of length as any Call of Duty campaign normally does. It was 14 missions long, so, a few deaths aside, probably took people between 5 to 6 to 7 hours to maybe complete. Maybe less for you more hardcore Call of Duty veterans out there. But the way that they designed the combat in this and the different scenarios and the way that they designed the combat AI in this for this campaign, and you guys saw it throughout my stream, I could not, you could not rush through at all. You had to pace yourself around every turn, every corner. There was an enemy waiting or there was a surprise waiting for you. You could not rush. You had to pace yourself every step of the way, and you had to make very calculated, careful decisions, especially in the heat of combat. And there were certain scenarios where it's like, you really got to try to think on your feet and decide, okay, how do I go? How do I approach this? How do I approach this, and how do I get out of this alive to continue forward? I found myself slowing down and trying to make decisions on the fly in a COD campaign that I am just not used to. I'm just not used to doing. It's not my play style. For the most part, it's not my play style, especially when it comes to a Call of Duty campaign. I'm usually just trying to get through it just to get through it. But no, this campaign forces you to slow down and actually take the time to appreciate what they've made. And they did such a good job. They did such a good job. I was so surprised by how well this campaign and the storyline of it was developed. And the graphics look amazing. Like, I have to say, I wasn't expecting this to be my favorite Call of Duty campaign, but it is, man. It really, really is. And to top it all off, the ending just ended up being, this whole thing was a prequel to the entire Modern Warfare series. Where COD 4 Modern Warfare picks up, this campaign predates that, officially. This campaign is officially a prequel to the entire Modern Warfare series, and there are Spec Ops missions that further the campaign even more that I still have to play through. And so I may stream those in the near future. But I was pleasantly surprised. And I have to say, now that I've played through this campaign, and I've played through more and more of this game, it's made me a little bit more of a believer and a little bit more of a fan of the Call of Duty franchise. Now, that's not to say all Call of Duty games and all campaigns are good. There are some that are better than others, but this is definitely the best Call of Duty game, both PvE and PvP, that we have had in a very long time. In a very long time. And a lot of people agree. And so I'm actually, and to mention, I actually got this game essentially completely free. I didn't have to pay a dime for it. I got the Precision Edition from GameStop. I pre-ordered it months in advance. It's essentially when I decided that Anthem was and probably is still very dead. Unfortunately, that game just kind of completely fell apart. And it stunk, too, because it had such huge potential and it just absolutely disintegrated. So once I decided that I was done with Anthem, I basically took that and a lot of other games that I was already either done playing or just didn't want to play anymore. I went to GameStop and they were having a deal going on where you get like an extra $5 or so trading credit, extra $5 or $10 trade-in credit for any PS4 game. They had that deal going on this past year. And so I took like almost 10 games that I didn't play anymore, including Anthem. I went, traded it all in. I got a crap load of credit, and I basically just laid it all down on the Precision Edition of Modern Warfare. And I gotta say, I don't regret it at all. And I'm surprised to even hear myself say that, because it's just, I can't get over how stunned I am. I can't get over how surprised I was by all of this. So I'll definitely be playing a little bit more Call of Duty than usual. Pretty much the only Call of Duty games that I've actually played the entire campaign for are COD Classic and all the Modern Warfare games and Infinite Warfare. I tried getting into Black Ops. It just wasn't my cup of tea. There are some people that do like, you know, the multiplayer aspects of like the Black Ops games and Infinite Warfare. Again, there are good and bad aspects of it all, so. But that is essentially my thoughts on Modern Warfare, the new one, and pretty much all the entire Call of Duty franchise. There are other first-person shooter franchises like Battlefield that have actually come a long way from where they started, but again, those kinds of shooters, the way that they play isn't necessarily my cup of tea. I prefer the very immersive, action-packed, in-your-face play style of games like Call of Duty and games like Destiny. Now, Destiny is different. When it comes to first-person shooters, that's more of a MMORPG FPS. For those of you who don't know what that means, mega multiplayer online role-playing game, first-person shooter, where you get to create your own character, spec it out, and it's a first-person shooter, but you have the added abilities of supers in that game, and different weapons, different play style. And I've been playing Destiny for so long that to return to a Call of Duty game and actually enjoy it, top to bottom, everything it has to offer, just surprises me. Because I for the longest time, I have absolutely rejected the Call of Duty games and the Call of Duty franchise as a whole, and mainly because I don't really have a lot of people, a lot of online friends to play this game with, to play Call of Duty games with. And I'm not used to Call of Duty multiplayer either. I usually get my ass handed to me, but I find myself wanting to get better at it, wanting to play it more. And it's just great. Whenever a game can do that, whenever a game can do something so well that it just makes you want to play it more and more, that's when you know, okay, the makers of this game, the developers, did their job and did it beautifully. Beautifully. It's amazing. And so, thank you, Infinity Ward. Thank you to all the developers of this latest Call of Duty game. It's great. A lot of people love it. I myself love it. You've made a believer out of me. To quote the Oracle from The Matrix, you've made a believer out of me. So hopefully going forward, any other titles that you decide to release, you do it well enough to make me to continue to want to play. That's all I can say. And so that's pretty much my thoughts on the new Modern Warfare. To as much as I can think of to say, I'm just thoroughly pleased. And I'm going to continue to play it. So I still got to get through the World War II campaign, though. That sniper was pinning me down that whole freaking match. So that's my thoughts on Modern Warfare. That's my thoughts on pretty much the entire COD franchise. So this game, great. I highly recommend picking it up, playing through the campaign. And if you're a fan of first-person shooters, absolutely pick it up. So, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Today is, Sunday, November 10th. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order releases on this upcoming Friday, November 15th. I already have it pre-ordered. I am set to upload the first episode day freaking one. I am highly, highly looking forward to it. It's been the first halfway decent, and that's putting it mildly, from the gameplay that I've seen so far. The most halfway decent single-player Star Wars game that we have had since Force Unleashed, and I mean that because it looks amazing. It's taken a lot of inspiration from a lot of different games and just put a Star Wars spin on it. And so I'm greatly looking forward to playing the game. Unfortunately, it can be very tricky seeing trailers and gameplay of a game and actually playing it hands-on. I will say are two very different things. It's the same with any type of media, movies, shows. You know, something may look good on the surface based on what based on what the creators decide to show the public before it releases. But then, unfortunately, it could end up being a complete disaster, as we've seen with several different games, movies, and shows and stuff throughout the years. It's, I don't know, it's not, I don't doubt that the people that make these kinds of things, they're under an enormous strain. But somewhere along the line, you know, people make decisions that either make or break whatever they're trying to, you know, give to you and sell you. So, seeing gameplay of a game and playing it hands-on are two very different things. But I do have to say that this new Star Wars game looks very promising. I have a very good feeling about it. I really do. I have always been, and no matter what, will always be a fan of Star Wars. It's been a part of so many people's lives for so many years now. There have been good and bad things when it comes to Star Wars, but I try not to look so much at the bad. I try to focus on the good, and I try to take it as it comes. I try to take it as it is. I try not to have a high expectation when it comes to certain things, especially Star Wars. I had high expectations for The Last Jedi when it came out, and unfortunately we got what we got from the creators of that movie. I am highly looking forward to just hopefully having some reconciliation, hopefully some redemption, and some resolution and closure with The Rise of Skywalker. We'll see what that movie brings. We'll see what unfolds before us. And we'll all see the ending to the Skywalker saga when it comes out. But I'm highly looking forward to Jedi Fallen Order. It looks amazing. And again, because I am such a huge fan of Star Wars, personally, the era in the timeline of Star Wars between the ending of Episode 3 and the beginning of Episode 4, there is a huge, huge wealth of just untapped potential in that time frame. There just is. I mean, look at Rogue One, look at the Clone Wars, and I mean, I know the Clone Wars doesn't, you know, exactly, it doesn't take place within that time frame, but Star Wars Rebels, I've heard is a good series. I haven't watched any of it, but even the Force Unleashed games took place between the ending of Episode 3 and the beginning of Episode 4. You know? And so, personally, anytime that someone can tell a great story, a great Star Wars story, either between Episodes 3 and 4, or hell, even in the gap between Episodes 6 and 7. Anytime someone can tell a great Star Wars story and make it entertaining and make people love it, I absolutely love that kind of stuff, because it's like there are bits of untold story and untapped potential that you could really capitalize on here. And people want to see that. People really do want to see that, because people don't like untold gaps in a story. It's like, after all this time, what the hell happened? And sometimes the story is told very well, otherwise it's told in a very vague and nondescript way, and nobody likes that. You know, people want detail, people want more story. People want to see every little bit. So, but anyway, that's my review of the game, and I'm greatly looking forward to Jedi Fallen Order. Can't wait to play it for you guys. Can't wait to have another fantastic and incredible gaming journey with you guys. So I love putting this content up for you guys to view. I like bringing my own little personality to it. Before I end the video here, I just want to show, like, I was putting up a recon drone, and I saw this little diamond dot, a guy coming up the stairwell behind me, so I'm like, oh, better exit out. And there he is. I felt like such a camper doing that, but that's okay. I used a tool to my advantage. So that's my review, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy any and all of my videos and the many, many more to come. So, thank you all so much for watching. My name is I'm the Dude 5, and this is I'm the Dude Games. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, as well as any others of mine that you may enjoy, including the one I provide on screen. Also follow me on Twitter for any and all updates on when I upload or go live. And I'll provide that link in the description below. So, your support means the world to me, guys. Hopefully within the next few years this channel can grow a little bit more. I don't have that many subscribers now, but even 138 for one person, it can still be kind of a lot. So, to those of you that are subbed, thank you. Thank you so, so much. I hope you enjoy this content. So, thanks for watching, guys. As always, stay classy, and I will see you all out there.